But to Mama Esther, he was still her little boy who once cried because he couldn't afford slippers. He owed her everything. Back outside, Odessa's shame began to boil into panic. She paced back and forth, dialing Richard's number again. It rang. Twice, then went dead. She tried again. Please pick up, she whispered. Eyes darting around like the trees were judging her. The guards gnawing their smiled at her. Even the gardener who once waved now turned his back. She couldn't breathe. This is all a mistake, she whispered. If I just explain, he'll understand. But a smile voice in her heart replied, no, this wasn't a mistake. This is who you are when no one is watching. That voice scared her. Finally, the heavy door opened and the butler stepped out. He looked at her with a stiff expression. Miss Adisawa, he said, Mr. Richard says you can go home. He will speak with you later if he decides to. The words hit harder than any insult. Tell him I'm sorry. She stammered. The butler only nodded, then slowly shut the door. Odessa was stood there for several seconds, staring at the door as if willing it to open again. But it didn't. She turned slowly, walking back to her car, each step heavier than the last. Inside the car, the silence was unbearable. Her driver didn't say a word. For the first time, she didn't order him to put on music or take a selfie for her followers. She just sat there, still broken. She didn't invent this. When the tears rolled down her cheeks, as the car moved out of the estate, Adisawa looked back once. The house was still there, beautiful, majestic, but now it felt like a kingdom she had no right to enter. Meanwhile, Richard sat beside his mother, still deep in thought. Mama, why didn't you ever tell her who you were? He asked. Mama Esther smiled faintly. If a woman loves only your money and your mansion, then she will not love your mother and her wrapper. I needed to know the truth. Richard nodded slowly. Now I do. That night, Odessa was sat in her bedroom, makeup smudged, dress tossed on the floor. Her mother entered confused. What's wrong? Why are you crying like a housemaid? Adisawa looked up slowly and replied, Mom, I think I've lost him. Her mother scoffed. Because Offwet, that old cleaner woman. Please just buy her a new wrapper and go back tomorrow. But Adisawa shook her head. No, that old woman is his mother. Silence filled the room, and in that silence, for the first time in her life, Adisawa felt what it meant to be truly humbled. Adisawa sat alone in her bedroom, the lights off, her reflection staring back at her from the dark mirror across the room. Her heart pounded slowly, not from anger this time, but from regret, heavy, bitter regret. That guy now stays with you like a wound that refuses to close. She could still see the old woman's face, hear the crack of her own hand slapping her cheek. She had done many things before, looked down on many people, but this time it felt different. It felt shameful. Downstairs, her mother paced the sitting room in silk pajamas and angry heels. So that's it, she said, nearly shouting. One little slap and the wedding is off. Is that family mad? If it were me, I would fire that old woman immediately, but Adisawa didn't answer. She had nothing to say, for once. She wasn't defending herself. For once, her silence was not pride. It was guilt. Her father, Mr. Felix, sat with a tired look on his face, slowly sipping his tea. He was a calm man, quiet most times, but this time, even he sighed deeply. This isn't about the slap, he said softly. This is about who she became when Noon was watching. The next morning, Adisawa didn't wear her usual high heels. She didn't wear makeup. She tied a simple scarf on her head, wore plain slippers, and picked a loose gown that didn't scream designer. For once, she didn't care about Instagram or being seen. She just wanted to be heard by the one person who had every right to ignore her, Mama Esther. She begged her driver to take her back to the estate. At the gate, the guards stared at her for a moment, confused by her new appearance. But one of them, recognizing her, hesitated before calling the mansion. This time, Richard answered, She's at chapter 3. The lessons money couldn't buy the gate. The guard said, She's dressed different. There was silence. Let her in, Richard said. As the gate slowly opened, Odessa's heart beat faster. She stepped out of the car and walked alone down the driveway. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself forward. She knew what she had to do. She had made a mistake, a huge one, and now she had to fix it. Not to get the wedding back, but because it was the right thing to do. She met Mama Esther sitting under a tree in the backyard reading her Bible. The birds chirped quietly, and the morning breeze moved gently around them. Adasawa paused. Her voice stuck in her throat. Then she slowly knelt on the grass. "Mama, please," she said, eyes already watery. "I'm sorry." Mama Esther looked up slowly, surprised by that voice, even more by the sight. The same girl who once hissed and strutted with pride now knelt before her, face bare, voice shaking. "I didn't know you were his mother," Adasawa continued, "but that's not the point. It doesn't matter what you are. No one deserves what I did to you. I was raised wrong. I was taught that money and looks are everything, that respect is for the powerful, but you taught me something different." But Mester watched her quietly. "You could have shouted. You could have slapped me back, but you didn't. You're strong, Mama, the kind of woman I wish I could become. Please forgive me." Not for a card. For me. The silence was deep. A single bird flew past. Then Mama Esther slow stood and walked toward her. She didn't speak. Instead, she held Odessa's shoulders gently, lifting her from the ground. Her hands were rough from years of hard work, but her touch was soft. She looked into her eyes and finally spoke. "You're not beyond change, my daughter. Pride is loud, but humility is stronger. If you've learned something today, then maybe that slap was not the worst thing that happened. Maybe it waits beginning of something better." Adasawa burst into tears. She hugged Mama Esther tightly. It was not the kind of hug you give a stranger. It was the kind that heals the soul. Mama Esther didn't resist. She hugged her back and patted her gently. "It's not too late to become the woman God created you to be." Unseen by both of them, Richard stood by the window, watching the moment unfold. His heart softened. He didn't know what he'd expected, but this was not the same Adasawa he once knew. He stepped outside quietly and walked toward them. When Adasawa saw him, she quickly wiped her eyes. "I know you don't have to forgive me," she said, trembling, "but I want you to know that I'm not the same woman who walked through your gate yesterday." Richard didn't speak immediately. He looked at his mother, then back at Adasawa. "Do you know what my mother wore to my graduation?" he asked softly. Adasawa shook her head. "One wrapper." "One?" "She borrowed money to even get the transport fare to the university. And when they asked us to take a mother-son photo, she stood behind me with her cracked sandals and said, 'I'm fine here.' That woman behind me, she made me who I am." Adasawa nodded, tears running again. "If you ever disrespect her again," Richard continued, "I won't even look back. I need a wife who knows that true beauty isn't in lashes or lace wigs. It's in how you treat people who can't offer you anything." Adasawa stepped forward. "And I want to be that woman, even if it takes time, even if I have to learn from the beginning. I'll do it." Richard looked at her for a long moment. Then he reached out and held her hand. "Let's start from there," he said. Mama Esther smiled. The wind blew gently again. That day, Adasawa didn't just find forgiveness. She found a mirror, and in it, for the first time, she saw herself clearly. The long dining table was silent. It stretched like a river of polished mahogany. Candles flickering in gold holders, bowls of steaming jollof rice and grilled tilapia, placed neatly at the center. But no one touched the food yet. Not even Richard, not even Mama Esther, not even Adasawa. She sat at the edge of her seat, her fingers laced tightly on her lap. Her hair was simply packed this time, her makeup barely there, her earrings small and modest. The sparkle of luxury was gone, but something softer, something human had started to shine. Mama Esther finally broke the silence. "Adasawa," she said gently, "please eat. This house doesn't hold grudges over food." Richard looked at his mother with quiet admiration. That was her strength, the ability to offer grace, even when deeply wounded. Adasawa reached for a spoon slowly, her hands still shaking a bit. She took a little rice, then paused. "Mama," she said, "can I serve you first?" Mama Esther looked surprised. Then she smiled. "Yes, my daughter. Thank you." And so, for the first time, Odessa was served food, not as a guest, but with the humility of someone trying to build trust again. She placed fish on Mama Esther's plate carefully, making sure the bones were removed. She passed water to Richard, not for show, but from a place of silent apology. They ate in silence for a while, but the silence wasn't awkward. It was reflective, full of thoughts, memories, and quiet changes. When dinner was done, Mama Esther wiped her hands and leaned back. "Let me tell you a story," she said, her eyes soft but sharp. When Richard was 14, he felt terribly sick, typhoid and malaria. He nearly died. I had no money, no job. His school refused to help. I remember sitting outside the clinic crying. I begged one woman selling roasted corn for help. She gave me 1 naira. That money saved his life. Adasawa swallowed hard. Richard looked.